Hello, everyone. Welcome today. This is Oni Onyabor, Peter Clampton, and I'm here with a new sort of writing experiment. I'm super excited. So, what we'll be doing is I'll be working through. So, I'm a writer, and I've written, as you guys know, obviously, if you're at this channel. So, I've written the first two books of my series. Well, I've actually written a few of them. But the first two books of my favorite series of The Girl and the Beast, I've written and published, right? I should actually show you guys some stuff for it. But yeah, so I've written the first two volumes of The Girl and the Beast, right? And now I'm going to be releasing number 3. And so something I want to do as part of this channel is sort of show the process of drafting and really trying to get in a behind the scenes look of what the reality of being a writer is and all the steps that are in the process. Because I think sometimes a lot of people don't really understand what it takes to write a book or the amount of work that goes into getting it, how you collect feedback from betas and stuff like that, and just everything that goes into it. Now, I want to kind of do this step by step, but um, obviously I'm at different stages with different projects. And so with The Girl and the Beast, I figured let's just start simple and let's just talk about as we run through and get a final draft going, what that looks like, right? Now, let me show you guys here what it is I'm working with. So The Girl and the Beast here, if you guys see um, here on my website, I have volume 1, which was an ebook, right? And then volume 2, which was another ebook, right? And then after I set those ebooks up, after that, I sold my compendium, which is an actual paperback, which is volume 1 and 2 of that series, right? So you can get them in paperback or you can buy the 2 ebooks. And then after that, I'm releasing each of the ebooks now of the series, and every major story arc that I have in the story, I will make a compendium out of. So the volume 3 is the beginning of the next compendium, the next book, and that's how I've basically structured the story, and I've written it out and I've outlined a ton of it. And so I want you guys sort of knowing that going forward. And so this is what we'll be working on. If you guys want, you'll be able to pre-order the book here. One click buy on Amazon. Will be releasing it in mid-October, right? And so right now, the big thing that I want to really emphasize and work on with you guys is just the process of editing that. So obviously, if you want to experience the story and you want to save some money on it, just join in and listen to the story here. Tell me what you think, comment on it, and see what changes you would like. And then after I go through it and put all the stuff out, most of these videos will come out after it's come. And so the idea is there's not going to be commenting. But moving forward, if you want to be able to experience the story and so you just want to save some money and also learn some writing advice, jump in on the channel that we'll be doing with all the other stuff and learning little few tips of what we look for writing when we're clearing things out, as well as I'll be reading it aloud. So you'll be able to experience the story right along with me as I read it through, and we get to experience volume 3 of Blackwater Rising. Now, if you haven't read the first two, volume 1 and volume 2, I actually am thinking about doing a read through there, depending on sort of the success of this series. So, yeah, if you find this intriguing and you're finding elements of the story interesting and you want to learn more about kind of correcting and editing your stuff, jump in and yeah, let's go into this deep dive. So without further ado, let's get into the details of Blackwater Rising. Now, for those of you who don't know, The Girl and the Beast is it's a Western post-apocalyptic kind of YA. And I set it up really just because I really like the idea of seeing there's, by the way, my TV screen's over here. So if you see me looking over there, that's what's going on. But I like the idea of sort of creating a serial and building a business model off of that. So anyway, let's go into writing and correcting this. All right. Now, Volume 1 and 2, the main characters are BB and Lucy, right? So sort of as a recap. So to kind of, put it in perspective, I realize actually I probably should have set all this up as a presentation a little bit. But the main characters are BB and Lucy is a blonde hair, blue-eyed, protagonist. Actually, you know what? Let me set up, let me get another screen so you guys can see her. But she's basically a blonde hair, blue eyed protagonist who got captured and is basically being chased by these mobsters who stole her away, right? So that's this girl here on the left, right? And let's zoom in on her so you guys can get a nice, good view view of what's good, right? And so that's Lucy. She's the main character. She's blonde hair, blue eyed. She was captured from these mobsters and was basically going to be sold off into slavery because she's one of the few people that can still have kids in this sort of dystopian world. But then she was rescued by this green eyed gunslinger named BB, who's kind of a mysterious lady, rescued her. And then they went off, they fought a bunch of mutants or whatever, and then they found out that, plot twist, spoiler alert, if you wanna do it, if I haven't done volume 1 and 2, go check that out, now, if they're out there, if you're reading this in the future. But, we found out that Lucy's parents are still alive, and so BB and Lucy are going to go find her parents, and that's the basic premise, the beginning of volume 3. There's a bit of a time skip, and so I'm excited for that. But that's the essential component of everything that's going on. And so, yeah, now without further ado, I know it's been like 5 minutes. So if you made it this far, I appreciate you. Let's get into actually editing and making and learning about how to actually create a better book. So let's start here. So as you guys know, I use Scrivener. I feel like it's like one of those programs. So let's start on actually on doing this right. So the first part of this of The Girl and the Beast is the prologue. So the small stone city hall echoed as gunfire cracked in the distance, like distance, right? So see, we're already picking up typos right here. Distance, like a howling chorus. Each cry for help was closer than the last. They had come without warning and said nothing. They just started shooting. They carried automatic weapons. They were organized and prepared. They shot without mercy and didn't seem interested in any prisoners. The guards barely stood a chance. There's a lot of theys here at the beginning. And said nothing. We can do that. That's very repetitive. Notice that I do notice that. It's not enough that I'm going to correct it or do anything huge with it. Daniel knew what they wanted, and he knew what he had to do. It was obvious that they were after the vault, or to be exact, whatever was inside the vault. Since becoming mayor of Waterford, Daniel's Keys had his work cut out for him. The hours were terrible. Everyone thought you had things more figured out than you did, and when you didn't, everything that went wrong was your fault. All for a little house on a distant hill, Daniel muttered as he stumbled down the black staircase of the vault below. Daniel pushed open the entrance to the basement. The basement entrance. Just one floor below the chaos. He just needed to make sure the countermeasures were turned on. Then the bank would come and fix this. Whoever these bandits were had their intel. Why else would they be drilling in the middle of the floor? Daniel pushed open the doors to the vault's basement entrance. To the vault, because we already know that. To the vault. And called to the guard who was sitting in the chair with a look of utter dismay. Sir, I just saw them coming. And I didn't receive the code, so I did. I know. I wasn't able to send it. All the buzzers on the top floor are broken. Daniel zoomed around the desk and input a code only he knew to activate the Bakelite, a hardening agent that came out as a foam sealant, but on exposure to air turned hard as concrete. That would make breaking into the vault much harder until it dissolved 2 days later. The window to the vault door was darkened with the red foam. It was their first failsafe. Hopefully they wouldn't need the second. That should slow them down long enough for the bank couriers to get here. Have you already sent out the SOS? Daniel said. Yes, sir. The guards turned his screen around. It showed a message detailing the ETA of the bank couriers. Right as I started hearing the really loud grinding sound and the gunfire, the guard rubbed the back of his neck. I figured that was as good a reason as any. Good thinking, Daniel said. That was the right call. Which was true, but it still meant the bank would be here in 10 minutes at the soonest, but the bandits would be down inside of 3. Even with the bank's ultra-fast skimmers, it would be the longest 10 minutes of their lives if they were lucky enough to live that long. What does that sound anyway? The guard asked. That's the bandits drilling from the top floor. They figured it would be easier to drill up top than break down the door. The city hall was a high-density bank. The city hall vault was a high-density bank vault with 9-inch thick glass titanium doors and a temper-reinforced safety to keep people from getting in that way. But it had one problem. It was only a door. The bandits knew this, and this must be why, instead of assaulting or trying to get through the lock on the bottom floor, they were drilling into the main floor, the top of the vault. It will still take a while, won't it? I mean, they still have to get through all that concrete, and the guard asked. The guard asked no. The guard cracked his knuckles. Just to signify he's talking. No. I saw they had high-grade explosives, Daniel interrupted. They can only mean they're planning to penetrate and plant explosives to blow the ceiling of the vault. Daniel tried to sound far calmer than he felt. It was important to keep the guard calm, let him feel they had a chance. Daniel could see the guard was a young man, just some kid who needed to make some money, probably to get out of this place. Probably had only started working here when Daniel had upped the security budget a few months ago. He looked so frazzled and not the professional protector, just someone trying to do a job way above his pay grade. Who are these guys? The guard asked, running his hands through his hair. I haven't a clue, Daniel answered. He had only caught a glimpse when they had. So we know, Daniel answered, so we don't need to do that. Right? He had only caught a glimpse when they had stormed in, and he looked out his office. They shot Pepper and Marcus dead, and within seconds, as Daniel stepped out his office to see what was going on, the entire scene had erupted into chaos. The backlight should show them down, so perhaps we need to. The grinding sound stopped. A few seconds later, Daniel could hear the doors above open and feet moving down the stairs. Lock the door, Daniel screamed as he jumped behind the desk. The guard slammed a button and leaned behind the desk with his weapon up. A simple 6-shooter. It wouldn't be enough. I don't get it. What are they here for? The guard said. There's nothing in that vault except for our town's cash reserves, and that ain't much. That was true. Waterford was poor and out of the way, an insignificant place, dusty and unremarkable. Hardly anything grew around here, and the only thing it was good for was as an outpost into a rarely traversed mountain pass. The only reason people lived here is because the place still had much of the old world infrastructure in place, but no mutants that usually lived near such places. Outside the relative peace and quiet, though, there was no real prospects in this town. It was completely irrelevant, which is exactly why the bank had thought it would be. Yeah, that sounds better. It would be the perfect place to hide one of their most valuable items. Deemed too volatile to keep in main containment, but valuable enough to pay the mayor 100,000 doublons a year just to house inconspicuously in their old dusty vault, which the bank generously upgraded. The money had been instrumental in getting medicine, paying the employees of the city, and advancing the lives of the few residents and traders that regarded Waterford as a home. Money had helped the town throw a festival. Daniel had been part of that change, and for that he was proud. But now, like many had always advised, he needed to remember that as great as it is to enjoy the golden eggs, you need to protect the goose. Had he spent the money on fixing the alarm systems and arming his guards rather than fancy luncheons to raise morale, they might have bought enough time. But of course, he never thought anything like this would happen. Only the bank, and he should have known it was here. Only the bank and he should have known it was here. Yet as the sealant shutters malfunctioned and the emergency klaxon sounded, wow, wow, he couldn't help but feel that was simply not the case. The doors blew off and the guard stood to return fire. He was torn to pieces. Ugh. Warm blood sprayed on Daniel's face as he read the young man's name tag. His name was Jim. Daniel felt a knife through his heart, but now was not the time to mourn. Daniel raised his hands in the air. Don't shoot! Don't shoot! I'm the mayor and I'm coming out! The fire ceased. He stood up and they descended upon him like hungry wolves, not ravenous ones, but calm and calculated. They communicated with hand signals and head nods. Daniel didn't know much, but these were no run-of-the-mill wasteland bandits. One flanked and cuffed him while the other two approached the door and looked inside. Damn it, he's released the backlight, one said. We'll have to set up a defensive... What? An incoherent voice came from the bandit's headset. Let me check, the bandit said. He approached the blood-covered console and threw Jim to the side. We have 8 minutes before they are on top of us. Please advise. He said back into the radio. The bandits had a distinctive black jacket with an embroidered green engram, 2 letters, B-I. It was familiar, but nothing popped out. Daniel racked his brain trying to think of who they could be. A few moments later, a terrible explosion sounded overhead. Though he could barely feel the impact, he knew they had just blown a hole in the middle of City Hall. What is it you guys want? Daniel spoke up. We don't have any money. We're just an insignificant town on the edge of the frontier. What could you possibly... Smack! A bandit from behind hit him with the butt of their gun. Shut up! You talk when we want you to talk. Daniel's heart sank as his heart throbbed along with his swollen eye where the gun had connected. He didn't dare say anything until moments later a man wearing a black metal mask entered the room. His mask looked like a black matted skull with a white scar over the left eye. He looked important. He was holding something, a tablet of some sort in his left hand. Sir, we are digging through the backlight now, but it's hardened and going to take some time. They got to it before we could penetrate the vault. It's all right. Our plan accounted for this. The masked man said this. He removed his mask and placed it on his belt. The man sighed and knelt down to get eye level with Daniel. So this is where I need to hit him with the description, right? So because he's taken off his mask, so we need to do a description here. So he had ash brown hair and light brown eyes that pierced the soul as they stared right into Daniel. Daniel Keyes, right? You're the mayor, aren't you? Daniel was silent. Sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. I just find it funny that we both have the same name. I'm also Daniel. Daniel Blackmoore. Daniel knew the name Blackmoore. This was the Black Island private military company. Notorious mercenaries with a shocking track record of carnage the last decade, but never against the innocent. These guys took down mutant hordes and went into cities. What are you guys doing here? Daniel asked. So, Mayor, you're going to help us remove all this backlight. Blackmoore ignored. Blackmoore said, ignoring Daniel's question. We can just say it, but ignored Daniel's question. Oh, and why would you do that? And why would I do that? Because you want to live to see another sunrise. Go ahead and do it then. The bank will still be here before you get to whatever it is you're looking for. Mayor, you don't understand. I won't kill you. Blackmoore cracked his neck. I'll just keep you locked up here. You see, we've only attacked City Hall. The residents are safe and secure in their homes throughout the city. We can change that. This wasn't right. Black Island had come to blows with the RFG on occasion. That's the reorganized federal government, by the way. But these guys weren't raiders. Daniel began to shake his head and flash the look of disdain at Blackmoore. You would kill innocents? I know who you are. You're Black Island. You are. You're Black Island. You're supposed to be warriors. Warriors don't slaughter those who can't fight back. Yes, well, management has been a trick thing as of late, and though we don't relish in killing the innocent, we are first and foremost mercenaries. Blackmore stood and folded his arms, which means we follow money, and right now the money is saying I need in that vault. Let's be more clear. Need. I like saying I need in that vault, because that's how Blackmore would say it. Daniel looked over at Jim, whose eyes were still wide open. The mayor began to feel a numbing sadness, but within him a boiling anger. But what could he do? If worse came to worse, could he activate the failsafe? They must not have known what it could do. It didn't matter. He just needed to buy time, where his people weren't in danger, and for the bank to get there. Okay, what do you need from me? The mayor asked Blackmore. Blackmore flashed a slight grin. He seemed the type to enjoy when people broke. Tell me how to stop the backlight sealant. Daniel nodded towards the computer and told him how to disable the security protocols. Blackmore tapped on the computer and did as he was told, but before he finished, he turned to the mayor. It goes without saying, but if there's any funny business, your town is dead. Daniel simply nodded, and Blackmore hit enter. The sealant stopped. It had filled up half the room, much of it already hardened. It would slow them down, but they could still grab the bank's weapons if they knew where to look. The bank's weapon, if they knew where to look. Okay, now what? What is it you're looking for? The mayor asked. You know exactly what you're looking for. Don't play dumb, Blackmore said. Blackmore, there are hundreds of storage lockers, and Blackmore closed the distance and stopped only inches from Daniel's face. The two men looked eye to eye. A rueful smile escaped Blackmore's face. Open it. I don't know what it is you're talking about, Daniel insisted. I don't know what it is, Blackmore sighed. They probably didn't tell you what it is, but I know you know where it is, or at least how to get to it. I know that this vault wouldn't be in a podunk like Waterford unless it was here. And if it's here, it means the mayor who the bank was paying will know how to get to it. Blackmore grabbed Daniel by the mouth. His fingers digging Daniel's cheeks. I'm trying to be gentle and cooperative, but you are making it very hard, Daniel. You know why I'm here. Don't waste my time. Tell me the code to disable the failsafe and stop the scrambler. Damn it. They knew about the safe. The bank vault had only had a few high priority items, one which was much higher than the others, of course. The vault would periodically move the item to a random spot in the vault, and it was only when the failsafe was turned off would it stay in the same locker. This was the first part of the failsafe, the scrambler. Then there was the most desperate last-ditch failsafe, which would activate if the vault was opened. While the scrambler was active, Daniel had been told that this failsafe would activate the item and destroy the town. Then there was the most... I want to make sure I read that right, because I don't know if that was super clear. Let's read that again. Then there was the most desperate last-ditch failsafe, which would activate if the vault was opened while the scrambler was active. I guess that's clear, right? I probably could be written a little better, so I might highlight that. Just so we can know to look over that later, right? Daniel had been told that this failsafe would activate the item and destroy the town. The bank would be here anytime. He just had to stall till then. And Blackmore would have to deal with the bank, and as well armed as these thugs were, they were no match for a detachment of bank couriers. He would have no time to murder innocents. Before Daniel could think to say anything, Blackmore's radio blared a message. The bandit stood up and pressed it to his ear. They're here, the voice said. Blackmore roared and kicked the consul. He then took a deep breath and pointed at some of his men. You three, stay with me. I want the rest of you to secure our exit. Don't let anyone near the transport. Yes, sir. The soldiers dispersed, leaving only two with Blackmore to watch over Daniel at the front of the vault. Thank God, Daniel thought. Then Blackmore pointed his gun at Daniel. Tell me the code, now! I don't know. Blackmore smashed Daniel's face with the pistol. Daniel fell to the ground, and Blackmore roared as he kicked the mayor repeatedly in the ribs. Each blow landed with shattering authority, and Daniel was winded and ached after he endured a good minute of lightning-fast blows to his body. Blackmoore loaded up one more kick, calmed down, then grabbed his radio. Men, all of you come downstairs. Grab the scanner. We'll just have to hope the waves can be picked up in time. We'll dig in. We'll just have to turn this place into a war zone. He turned to the other soldiers. Blackmoore turned to his soldiers. He turned to the other soldiers. Blackmoore turned to his soldiers. That doesn't make any sense. That was repetitive. That's why. He turned to the other soldiers. He turned the other soldiers with him. That's it. Sir, if we activate it, won't that mean they'll come? One of the soldiers asked. Blackmoore turned and shot the soldier in the head. Only a few of the soldiers seemed shocked as their comrade's body dropped. Daniel didn't know which was more shocking, Blackmoore killing his man suddenly or the utter indifference displayed by the other soldiers. Anyone else not paying attention or read the briefing report? Blackmoore asked. The rest shook their heads. Good. Bring the rest down here. We can use this to locate it in the vault. Blackmoore gave the last tablet to one of his men. The bank will deal with the cleanup while we cut through this backlight, so get on it. With that, the two guards went upstairs while Blackmoore dragged Daniel to the side of the vault. Tell me the combination now. Now, I want to continue, but a good question I want to have is it clear what is going on in this scene, right? I'm actually really interested in terms of like feedback or whatever, if people are actually understanding what is going on here, because there is a situation going on, obviously in the bank vault room, but then also there's a situation going outside. And what it is Daniel doesn't know what's going on. So I want you to be a little confused, but are you aware that there's a situation and a misunderstanding of something going on outside? I just want to make sure that's clear and just how, whether that's intriguing or not. So that's a bit of a question. So right now we are about halfway through. Let me see here. We're about halfway through the manuscript, or not the manuscript, the prologue. And I want to make sure that this doesn't seem too long. So let's cut the feed here and we'll go for part 2 of the prologue. So this is just where Blackmoore's called his men down to defend the bank vault room because something or someone is coming, which is, you're supposed to think it's the bank. And so, because it's the bank, as far as we know. So yeah, let's end the recording here and check out part 2. I'll put it out there for you guys and hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks so much for coming in to the broadcast. And remember, stay happy, stay healthy. See you in part 2. Peace.